everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Cover 4 podcast. I'm Jim Trickett, along with my partner in crime and snowbound Provo, Utah, uh, Randy Gibson. We were going to do this thing last night on Wednesday night, but your daughter, she's not used to driving in snow like you had out there. Tell everybody here in Tahlequah how much you guys got.
Oh my gosh, Jim. Of course, I live in Provo, which is just about 10 minutes. We kind of live right at the base of the mountains and about 10 minutes from Sundance Ski Resort. And in the last 48 hours, we've gotten 15 inches of snow. It was blowing pretty hard last night, the last couple of nights, in fact, off and on. So far this season, up at Sundance, we're sitting at a 37-inch base with a total snowfall of 48 inches since December 1st. So getting quite a bit out here. And I guess you guys out there in Midwest and Oklahoma are going to be getting some this weekend, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're going to get a little bit. Thank goodness I will be back home. I've got to work an Arkansas game tonight for the SEC Network. We'll be on 8 o'clock. I've got Arkansas and Mississippi State women. It's part of a doubleheader tonight on the SEC Network. The leadoff is going to be in Rocky Top. It's going to be Tennessee and Florida from Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville. And then the Hogs will play Mississippi State in the nightcap of the doubleheader. I do official stats for ESPN and the SEC Network. And I've got a full slate of ball games from now until March 6th in Fayetteville, with the exception of a week from Saturday. I will not get to do the game against Kentucky. They are going to bring in the A team, as they call it. Dan Schulman and Jay Billis will be back in Fayetteville. I worked with them on the Duke game. That was a weeknight game, but this one being a Saturday, they're going to bring their whole crew in. So they'll have somebody that will do the official stats with them. And they have their own guy doing talent stats that sits right next to Dan for the ball game. So I get to sit that game out, but the lady who gives me the assignments out of Charlotte, she did throw me a bone for not getting to do the Kentucky game. I get to do Tulsa and Wichita State the 31st at the Reynolds Center.
Hey, that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, it will. And the nice thing about the Tulsa game, I sit courtside, so I can see it a whole lot better. I sit right next to the Wichita State bench, and the SID, the sports information director for Wichita State, sits right next to me.
All right.
So it's
you get some good insight sitting next to them during the game. Then
yeah,
probably.
I do, and that helps. I sit up in the stands. You have seen the videos on my Facebook page where I do the official stats at Arkansas. We sit behind the band, the Hog Wild band there at Fayetteville. And it's not just me, it's all the media sits up there. The guys who cover the ball game for the newspapers, also the social media for the University of Arkansas. In fact, I sit right next to a girl that shoots pictures for the Razorback website. So I get to see some of her still pictures that she takes and puts them into the computer, and I'm sitting right next to her, so I can see the shots she's taken before the game and during the game.
Well, I'll tell you, as good as the Hog Wild band is, and as much as they play, I'm surprised you have any sound waves left. And I'm surprised you can even visit with anybody around you, as good as those guys are.
You can, because the the music is facing the court, so I'm behind them.
So you're behind them.
So it's not as bad as you think. Uh, if you would come here back to Tahlequah between now and say the end of February, uh, the easiest ticket to get is to go watch the women play,
Mm-hmm.
and the ticket price is $10.
You know, we may have to see what's going on, check their schedule. I'm actually going to be out your way here in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to spend a day in Bentonville one
Oh
day
wow!
with one of my clients,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in the he was in the Oklahoma basketball band actually back in the
Uh-huh.
day. I think he was in the men's band. I was in the women's band, but he was in
Uh-huh.
the men's band, and
Okay.
um, yeah, kind of
When are
fun.
you
If
gonna? When are you drifting back?
I know I fly out to Norman on the 24th, I think, and I'll be in
Okay.
Tahlequah the 26th, kind of that week for a few
Uh,
days.
they are out of town the 24th. Excuse me, 25th and 28th, but back home on February the 1st.
I'll have to check and see. I can't remember what day I'm flying back. I'll have to double check. That would be kind of fun to go watch.
That would be that's a Thursday night game. It's an 8 o'clock tip against right here, the Tide.
Oh, against the Tide.
Mm-hmm. And then
Oh, fun.
then the Sunday game is against Alabama's hated rival, Auburn.
Auburn.
Yep. And that's a 5 o'clock tip. So I've got two early games in early February. They're in Fayetteville. And anybody that asks, yes, this is a paid gig.
Of course.
Yep. Uh, speaking about pointing to the cap,
Yeah.
uh,
Big
boy,
news
that
last.
you talk about a bomb dropping.
I
Uh,
was I was kind of wondering what you were going to be wearing today. Of course, you didn't disappoint. You got on the Crimson Tide with the Alabama hat. I kind of wondered if you would be dressed in black, though, with
no,
Saban
no,
going into retirement.
I don't have black. I don't have anything black. You know, the thing I wonder is, did Nick say when he got on that plane out to Pasadena, was win or lose either the semifinal or the championship game, that this was going to be it?
That was kind of the buzz that I was hearing um, around, and I'm sure you heard likewise. I think the hopes of Nick and all of the Alabama fans and was that Alabama would win the national championship and Nick would go out on top. Had
Mm-hmm.
Alabama won, I don't think it would have been as much as a surprise as it was yesterday, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're. I think you're right. Uh, when Paul Feinbaum is totally shocked that
Mm-hmm.
the thing comes down and Chris Lowe reports it that Nick was retiring. Uh, I reached out about 15 after 6 to former Redmond defensive back and former Tahlequah athletic director Mike Adams, who has very strong connections in Alabama because his son Cole plays for Alabama. And I asked him, I said, is this true? And he said, yep, it is. And don't get your hopes up about Cole Adams going into the portal, because he's not. He will
I
stay at Alabama.
That was a question I wondered if he would go into the portal and maybe drift his way back to Oklahoma at one of the state universities there, either
Uh,
Oklahoma or Oklahoma State.
nope, that ain't happening. He's staying down there. His plan is to stay all 4 years down there, get his degree at Alabama, play for the Tide, whomever it may be, and we're fixing to discuss that part of it as far as
hmm Kind of
who
mentioning, kind of
who it
mentioning the
may be.
players before we go on to the coaching change. Lots of buzz around not just the Oklahoma portals and Oklahoma State portals, but all of the news from around the country. Any word that you've heard from any of the Alabama players that are looking to enter the portal or to transfer with this change?
None as of yet.
I
Nothing.
guess they're all waiting to see who the coach will be first, I
I
guess.
think it's A, that plus B, the portal's not open yet for the
Right,
second half.
right.
So that part is not for another week or so, I think. I know signing day is always the first Wednesday in February
hmm
for the high schoolers. That's the second round. Most of
hmm
them signed, in the early period just before Christmas. But who in the world would be that guy to take the job at Alabama?
Ah, you've heard some stuff from down south. I've heard some names tossed around from the West Coast. So
Yeah,
I'm going to be curious to see
okay.
what you think.
The two out west are Lanning and DeBoer.
Correct.
Lanning has ties to Alabama because he was a GA down there.
hmm
The problem's going to be the buyout. The buyout is 20 million. And true, there are Bama people that have got deep pockets, but would Lanning leave what uh, is being set up down there or up there in Eugene? He's getting a good thing going, even though he loses Bo Nix. But uh, you've got the the building of a really good program up there. You're going into the Big Ten,
hmm
uh, and two words: Phil Knight.
Well, I'll throw two more words at you up there. Dylan
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel,
Right?
experienced quarterback from Oklahoma, went up there.
Yeah.
So,
And like I say, Phil Knight,
hmm
aka Nike.
yeah,
So Phil Knight's got some really deep pockets. So I would think that they'll do everything in their power to keep him there. DeBoer, the coach at Washington, his buyout is 12 million. The other thing is that I don't think he would be a good fit in Alabama, mainly because he's never coached in the South. He don't
hmm
know, what it's like to go into this pressure cooker called the Southeastern Conference.
hmm
And they go, and also Washington, Dubs goes into the Big Ten next year as well
hmm That's
with
correct.
Oregon, UCLA, and USC. So I think those two guys, I think Greg Byrne, who's the athletic director at Alabama, he may talk to them, but if them, I think I stay right where I'm at.
Well, in talking about him and some of the others, I've kind of caught a glimpse of some comments being made from the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I'm sure you picked up on this, totally rumors, but there are some in the USC camp wishing Lincoln Riley would go to Alabama. Not a chance that
Nope.
that's going to happen. Um, but what they were hoping in their expressions were they were hoping Riley's been kind of a bust, as we all know now. And they were hoping Riley would go there and they could talk Pete Carroll into coming back. I don't know if you've heard that
Carroll
out your way or not.
Carroll is going into the front office for the Seahawks. Uh, I don't think that will transpire. Um, I think the USC people need to do like the Arkansas people, be patient, which is something they don't understand.
Nope.
But I think they found him a good quarterback. The kid that quarterbacked the bowl game, I think they're
Hmm.
in pretty good shape. The schedule will be daunting to say the least, going from
It
the
will.
Pac-10 to the Big Ten. Uh, the travel will be a whole lot different, especially if you've got to go from LA to play, say, Penn State
Hmm.
or Rutgers. I mean, you got to play those two in the league. Uh, the cross country travel is going to be the biggest thing for them.
Hmm.
Uh, Down south, as far as coaching possibility, and I saw this from a guy who writes for a website called Saturday Down South that I follow quite a bit. And this guy said there's one guy and one guy only that could not only handle that fishbowl in Tuscaloosa, but could handle the fans at Alabama and the expectations of the Crimson Tide faithful. He's already coaching in the SEC. And that person, in his words, Lane frickin' Kiffin.
Yeah.
And I don't think the buyout is that bad. I think it's around somewhere
That's
around
not
six
bad at
million.
all.
Uh, they had James Franklin's name in there, coach at Penn State. Uh, he knows about the SEC. Before he went to Penn State, he was the head coach at Vanderbilt. Uh, One had, in fact, the guy from Fox, RJ Young, at the top of his list, Dabo Sweeney, head coach at Clemson.
Hmm. I've heard that one.
Uh,
I've
the
heard another one
mm-hmm,
that you may mention down south of you.
mm-hmm, Steve Sarkisian.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, Sark. Uh, he may get a visit from Greg Byrne. I think he stays at Texas, uh, even though Nick really helped him.
Hmm.
When he after he got let go at SC, I think he got Sark's head screwed on straight, and he's done a whale of a job on the 40 acres.
Yeah, he has. I don't really see him leaving Texas unless the offer was just too good for anybody to pass up. Myself,
The offer is going to be pretty good. It's
sure.
not going to be Nick Saban money,
No,
but
no.
say half of what Nick made. That's very possible.
Hmm.
Somewhere in I'm going to say 5 to 6 would be possible, maybe 7 per year, and we're talking million. Uh,
Hmm.
Somewhere in the $5 to $7 million range would probably be the guesstimate as far as how much they'll get paid. And believe you me, there'll be a Freedom of Information Act request made to find out how much he is going to make and how much the boosters are going to kick in. I mean, see, at Arkansas, uh, Sam gets paid so much by the university, and then the rest of it is paid by the foundation. So,
Don't you think, in the replacement for Saban, do you think it's going to be someone that's has been involved with University of Alabama in the past throughout the years?
I think so.
That would lead to Kiffin.
That would lead to Kiffin. Uh, the biggest thing, and I watched Feinbaum yesterday afternoon, right in the last 20 minutes of his show. Feinbaum was a 25-year-old reporter when Bear Bryant retired way back when.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks later, he's writing his obituary. I mean, that's how quick Bear Bryant passed away, because he had heart failure.
Right.
Nick is in a lot better shape than Bear.
Yeah.
It's not because of health reasons. Some people question, was it the transfer portal, the NIL stuff, or both? I said both.
I said both.
Yeah.
I've heard that from people both in Norman and out here in the West, and everybody's pretty much saying it was the NIL and the transfer portal and just the pressure and being 72 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's got enough money to live the rest of his life and have a lot of fun. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not do it?
Speaking about fun.
Yeah.
Now let's throw this nugget to you. The guy who puts the helmets on every week on game day.
Yes.
Lee Corso.
Yep.
He has said that he's coming back next year. But
I hadn't heard that.
He has said he's going to try to come back next year. But with what has happened in the last 18 hours, 24 hours, would Lee Corso step aside and Nick Saban becomes the guy in the middle?
I could see that. What I could see happening is Corso being on at the beginning and at the end, and still do the headgear and all that fun stuff at the very end. I could see him being there at the beginning to wave to everybody, and then go take a 3-hour break and get back at the end. And I could see Saban doing the real work stuff in the middle.
Yeah. That's very possible. And Nick enjoyed being on there with those guys.
He did, and everybody just kind of assumed. I've heard this for a long time, and I'm sure you have too, that as soon as Nick retires, he's going to be on the game day set. And it would not surprise me one bit if he did that. And what a fun gig for him, like we said.
Yeah, and let's put it this way: I know how deep ESPN's pockets, Disney, who owns ESPN, they can they fork over the money.
Sure they will.
And Nick can pretty much name his price, and they take care of him. And Wheels Up would make sure that he had a private plane from Tuscaloosa to wherever in the heck they
of course
have game day.
And it would be great. He would be a great addition. It would work well for ESPN. It'd work well for Nick. I would honestly, as a football fan, I would love to see that happen.
Would you like to see game day November 16th?
Yeah, yes, I would.
With
yes,
OU in Alabama.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yes, I think that would be absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I would like to be in Tuscaloosa the first time game day's down there, whether it's against Auburn or Georgia or whoever it might be against, with Nick on the set.
Guess what? They get them both at home.
Can you imagine how much fun that would be to be on that game day set?
Oh man, I'm telling you that that was that was the big bombshell. I'll take this off
Yeah,
and we'll talk about that national championship game.
yeah,
Michigan, they took they took care of business,
they
and
did. I
uh,
was I
I
was
was pleasantly
surprisingly
surprised.
impressed. I was
Yes.
surprisingly impressed with Michigan at the national championship game. I really, I, I didn't have a dog in the fight. I got friends who both went to Washington and Michigan, so it was just
Mhm.
fun. But I really thought Washington would pull off the win.
Yep. Penix did not have a very good game.
No, not at all.
He
Not
was
at all.
the ball was sailing on him. Uh, I think he may have been too amped up,
Maybe.
uh, especially after uh, Michigan goes down first two drives, and the guy who scored the touchdowns. I mean, he ran through holes that you could drive a truck through.
Yeah, he sure did. I
And
know we were watching the game, and I was telling folks here at my house, I was like, geez, as big as those holes are, I think even I could pick up some yardage through there.
yeah, uh, you know, they are. The biggest question is going to be too is will Jim Harbaugh stay? And I don't think he will.
I don't think so.
I think he's heading to the NFL. He
I do
knows
too.
there's a guy there that can coach him,
Hmm.
and he proved that for 6 games
Yeah,
uh,
I
while
say
Harbaugh was in the cooler.
he coached them for half the season
Yep.
anyway.
hmm
So,
and they beat Ohio State,
hmm
which is huge. Uh, ran into Larry Gibson yesterday at Reese's. I told him, I said, I know you and Jim Madison are not happy because Michigan won the whole thing. And he said, yeah, because Larry Gibson and Randy both are uh, from Ohio. So,
hmm
so it's one of those things. They don't like Big Blue or that team up north.
right.
So,
They won't even say the name.
correct, correct. Uh, well, that's going to be another interesting thing. See what happens up there. I think with Belichick stepping down as the uh, head coach of the Patriots,
Hmm.
could Jim Harbaugh be heading to Foxborough?
I think it's a very good possibility.
Very good possibility. And don't be surprised if Robert Kraft is already talking to him.
I'm sure he has.
There's a there's a news conference sometime today between with Kraft and Belichick talking to the Boston media. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what transpires on that thing. Uh, talking about Portal, uh, Mike Gundy's running back room just got a whole lot fatter yesterday afternoon. Uh, guy who played for Arkansas, AJ Green, he had committed to TU because
Hmm.
he's from Tulsa. Well, he backed out of that commitment, and he's now going to be in the running back room with Ollie Gordon at Oklahoma State. So,
Did that
uh,
surprise you?
yeah, it did.
It
It
did me
really did.
too.
It.
It did me too.
I thought he would stay in Tulsa, uh, but to wind up going into the running back room with Gordon,
Hmm.
that's going to be a pretty good 1-2 punch for the Cowboys. And here's the other thing: Arkansas goes to Boone Pickens for game 2 after they
Mm.
play UAPB in Little Rock. They go to Stillwater for the first time in 50 years, at least 50 years, to play
Wow.
the Cowboys at Boone Pickens.
Wow. That's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah.
Um,
you're going to have OSU, who's going to be pretty good, with Bowman getting that extra year of eligibility because of the injury he took that happened, I believe it was in 2020, which was the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
Then the NCAA agrees on the waiver because he only played 3 games, which was the limit. If he had played 4 games, he wouldn't have got it.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So him at quarterback, Gunner is gone. He is now going to play for the team I call the Fighting Albans, the Ohio Bobcats. Tim Albin, former GA here at Northeastern with Tom Eckert a number of years ago, went back out to his alma mater at Northwestern out in Alva, then finished his GA at Nebraska with Frank Solich. And when Solich retired at Ohio, Tim slid into the head coaching job.
Mm-hmm.
So, going to be very interesting to watch the Mid America Conference next year with Gunnar Gundy wearing the green and white of the Ohio Bobcats.
Yeah, I will.
I think he'll be good.
So, I think he will too.
Mm-hmm.
Everything says he should do pretty well up there.
He should. He really should. Well, basketball season now in high gear since football is now done. The Redmond and Lady Reds hit the road last night, had to go to Edmond and take on UCO. The guys were tied in the final minute going against the Broncos, and they hit a and one late, and the Broncos defeated the Redmond 72-67, denying the Redmond a win in the MIAA. They're still over right now, but they've got a chance to get that first win because they got to go up the Kansas Turnpike, and they got to play Newman at Wichita. They play the Jets on Saturday afternoon. So hopefully Jay Havens and them will be able to find that first win in the league come Saturday afternoon. The girls, on the other hand, the Lady Reds, defeated UCO 67-59, and that's the most wins they have had on the road. The win, they beat Missouri Western here at home last Saturday, beat them 74-58. So they won 2 in a row. And the win was the 6th of the season, matched their win total of a year ago. So they have won more ball games this year than they did last. That was their 7th win of the season.
Good.
And the win, see here on my notes here, also the most wins at home since they won 5 back in 2017-18. So
very good.
The last road win, the first road win of the season for them. The last road win was last year at Rogers State, back on February the 4th. So they broke that string as well as far as a losing streak on the road, and hopefully they can get the 3 in a row when they take on the Lady Jets at 1:30 up in Wichita. And then they'll come back home next week, and I'll see who they have. Give me a moment here. Also, the guys, it's not like they've been shooting bad. They have been shooting over 50% from the floor in these losses.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're playing good ball, but they just can't find the win column. So they just keep on trying. I mean, they're close ball games, but they're just not able to get a win right now. It's like they're snake bit right now. Let me get to the schedule here. And they are, like I say, they have got Newman on the road Saturday. They have got Central Missouri coming in next Thursday, and then Lincoln comes in on Saturday. So, in fact, they were playing the 17th ranked team in the country last night.
Oh, really?
UCO, yeah, I didn't realize that. And they have a guy who used to coach at the NAIA level, used to coach at Oklahoma Baptist. Bob Hoffman is the coach out there at UCO. So he's been around the block a time or two. In fact, I think he was an assistant at OU for a little bit.
I'm not
Way back,
sure, but I
way
think
back
maybe you're
yeah,
right.
several years ago. But that's what's on the NSU front. The Tigers and Lady Tigers, well, they swept East Central Tuesday night at home. Girls defeated East Central 62-41. The boys down the Cardinals 61-50. And now they get ready, if they get to play tomorrow night, against an old hated rival. Tulsa Kelly comes to town.
Oh,
And yep, they're in the district. They've in high school now, as of this year, they've done away with the Metro Lakes Conference as far as high school is concerned. The district is the football district that you are going to be in. I believe that's how it's going. So they are playing Kelly Friday night here at home, and that'll be at 6 o'clock up at the TMAC. And again, I say weather permitting. If school is out, then one thing, there won't be a ball game tomorrow night. So just kind of stay tuned and see if they are going to play that game tomorrow night. And that's also could be Tuesday as well, because we're going to get some real bad weather. We're supposed to get snow on Sunday, possibility anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, and then it will get cold. I mean, we're talking below zero lows.
I heard you guys were really going to get punched in the gut with your temperatures, which is
Yes,
more concerning than the snow, quite frankly.
correct. Yeah. Let's put it this way: I got to find my ski bibs,
Yeah.
because with me going to Fayetteville Tuesday night, I'm going to need to bundle up big time.
Make sure you got gas in the car, extra blankets, and maybe
Yep.
a couple of bottles of water.
Yep. At least I'm going to put the blanket, the quilt in the car.
Good.
Then I will fill up tonight after I get home, stopping at log store up on the north end of town as I'm coming back on 82. I don't
Oh,
come
yeah.
62 at night. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
So I go 82, take the turnpike down over Locust and come down
Yeah.
that.
Come down that way. Yeah. That's the best way to go. I've driven that route many, many times over the years.
Yes. Yep. So the uh,
I know that little slog store very well.
yep, yep. And it's and the nice thing of it is that if there happen to be closed, you can still fill up, with
Right.
credit cards. So that's the good thing. So, but yeah, kind of interesting. Be kind of interested to hear the press conference from Nick this afternoon. Wish I could watch Feinbaum, but I'm gonna have to head to Fayetteville before maybe I can pick it up somewhere and listen to um, what Nick says about uh, hanging it up with the Tide, and it'll be interesting to see what Greg Burns' decision will be as far as being he's the athletic director there, and who will fill those shoes. Let's put it this way: I feel for the guy who takes it, because when Bear Bryant left, they selected Ray Perkins, former player,
I remember that.
and who would go on to coach in the pros for the New York Football Giants.
Yeah.
So, well,
It's always hard. It's always tough to be the guy that follows the legend.
yeah, especially, well, take a look at Norman. I mean, take a look with Switzer.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Gibbs didn't fare well. Stellenberger sure didn't fare well. John Blake didn't fare well.
Think about too who followed Bud Wilkinson.
Mm-hmm.
Go back all the way back.
All the way back to this. Yep.
The 50s and 60s.
50s and
Same
60s.
thing. Yep.
Yep.
But
Jones.
Gomer
Jones.
Gomer Jones. Yep. And then Jim McKenzie, who died suddenly, and then Chuck Fairbanks came.
Yep.
So, yeah. Well, I think that will do it for this week's edition of the Cover 4 podcast. We'll hash over some basketball next week. Like I say, I've got the women tonight at Arkansas. You won't see me on camera. Sorry about that, but we'll make do, and we'll talk about the Redmen, the Lady Reds, the Tigers, and coming up here pretty soon, we'll start seeing who and where the districts and the regionals will be assigned here about the end of January, 1st of February by the OSSAA.
It's coming quick.
Sure is. Randy, we'll talk about it next week. And for that, we're going to close down this week's edition of the Cover 4 podcast. Thanks for watching and listening to us, and we'll see you next week. So long, everybody.